Hello and welcome dear viewers to a new episode of Windows. I'm Mohammed Abdurrahim and I'm sitting in for my dear colleague Dina Hussein. COP27 is a great international event being hosted here in Egypt in the city of peace, Sharm el-Sheikh, the beautiful Red Sea resort. And that event that is gathering leaders from all around the world and seeing Egypt playing not only but as a leader in trying to unify efforts to save our planet, efforts for the sake of mankind, efforts to fight global warming and to deal with climate change. As this is happening, the great organization by Egypt and the big attendance by leaders of the world and journalists and media, men and women from all around the world, and delegations and tourists, all of this is boosting the key vital tourism industry here in Egypt. We'll be talking about COP27, about conference tourism, and about the role of the organization of such big events in boosting the key vital industry of tourism here in Egypt that employs a big number of the population via direct or indirect employment, and that is the industry that is a key source of foreign currency for the country. With us here in the studio is Dr Amr Atef, travel expert who has a PhD in Heritage and Museum Studies, the Faculty of Tourism and Hotel Management, Helwan University. Dr. Atef, a great pleasure to have you with us, especially on this occasion.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure.
A very good evening to you, sir. And let us begin by what you saw so far from the great organization, the great festival that is taking place in the City of Peace, Sharm el-Sheikh.
I like when you said the City of Peace, because Egypt was always a country that called for peace and was one of the very first countries, in the world and in this part of the world, in the Middle East, that called for peace. And Sharm el-Sheikh in particular was famous for conferences and summits and lots of peace summits. And now that we have the COP27, this is a big event. And this is considered to be one of the greatest conferences, if I can say, of this part, of this century. More than 40,000 people came from all over the world to Egypt, and that's a great advertisement for tourism. If you are going to talk about advertisement and conference tourism, this is a clear example for conference tourism. And what more, if presidents and prime ministers and politicians and journalists and media people from all over the world are coming to the City of Peace, to Sharm el-Sheikh, and that put Egypt in the leading rows, in the front rows of the tourist countries and the safest tourist countries worldwide. The National Geographic said that Egypt is the third country worldwide as a destination, a tourist destination, because of the COP27. So sure, it will boom tourism. And if you call any of the hotels in Cairo, and I'm talking about Cairo, and of course, let alone Sharm el-Sheikh, and let alone the other resorts, you won't find a room. There is no rooms available. Not only rooms, there is no, cars available. The whole thing is fully booked, and I think tourism is booming. And you go to Luxor now, and you go to Aswan, and I was just there last week, and Karnak Temple is booming with travelers from all over the world. And
great to hear.
Yeah, and not only this, but they're also talking about the summit. So visiting the Valley of the Kings and talking about the summit, the COP27.
A beautiful weather all across Egypt, of course, especially in these months, the warm weather, the sun, a beautiful weather really all year round in Egypt. One of the many gifts that God has given to Egypt. Dr. Atef, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities has launched programs for the visiting delegations at the Sharm el-Sheikh summit, of course, to visit touristic places and museums. How important are these programs, and how they are helping in boosting the vital industry here in Egypt?
Well, the idea that the travelers who go to Sharm el-Sheikh, they want to visit museums, so now we have the Sharm el-Sheikh Museum.
Yeah.
They want to do snorkeling and scuba diving, we have that available. They want to relax, we have, I mean, relaxing atmosphere. They want the nightlife, there is a nightlife in Sharm el-Sheikh. I would say Sharm el-Sheikh is a tourist city that has it all. I mean, all the different elements of tourism. And that reflects for sure. And I think that all the advertisement that happened maybe before COVID played a role, of course, and a big role, but this conference, this COP27 really put Egypt on the right track with tourism. And I think this will gain the fruits of this conference maybe for the coming years and the coming season, the coming tourist seasons, especially as you kindly said that the weather now is great. I mean, this is the best weather. November, it's autumn for us, and this is the best weather. And you go to Cairo and it's nice and there is a nice breeze. You go to Sharm el-Sheikh, of course, it's nice. You go to Luxor and it's sunny in the morning and it's cool at night. You go to Aswan and the dry weather there is amazing. So not only this, people go to the conference and then the pre and the post.
Yeah.
So those 40,000 who attended or who are attending the meeting or the summit, lots of them came earlier to visit different sites. So to do the pyramids and to visit to do the Nile cruise and so on. Not only this, but from my friends in the different travel agencies, they would even like take a day quickly. I mean, let's say they have a meeting today and tomorrow, and then they have day after tomorrow free. So they would just take a plane, take a day, go visit the pyramids and the museum and fly back, you know. So that means that people is in the heart and the mind of the travelers who came to Egypt. And of course, the idea of conference tourism is really great, especially that it's active with the media today. Today, what I would call and say always the Instagramic tours. So people would take a picture and put it on Instagram, post it on Instagram, or post it on the social media, and in a second, it will be all over the place. So lots of celebrities and lots of politicians and lots of, I mean, people in charge and are in Sharm el-Sheikh today. Imagine when they post pictures and they post meetings and in different medias. I mean, you open any channel on the TV and they talk about the summit. I happened to be accompanying a tour today, and the whole group was talking about the summit in Sharm el-Sheikh and the climate changing, and that also puts Egypt in the front of the countries that reacted to the climate changing. And
indeed.
We're going to talk about that.
Sure. Dr. Atef, there is a green hospital now in Sharm el-Sheikh, the first in the Middle East and Africa. Sharm el-Sheikh itself is being seen as or dubbed as a green city. There is a trend now, you know, green tourism. Talk to us about that trend and how can Egypt best benefit from the fact that indeed it is playing a key role, a leading role globally in the fight against global warming.
Sure, I mean, ecotourism and green tourism is very important. And now people, lots of travel agencies, when they come and they go on the cruises, they ask, for instance, there will be a fam trip that will come and check the boats, and they will say, we don't want any plastic containers for the water. And they bring with them, or they ask the cruise ships to present their own those new thermal bottles of water, and so they are avoiding using plastic, and that's trendy worldwide. So we can see that in lots of the cruises. They don't use any plastic bags, or it's all made out of the cardboard, and I mean, it's all eco-friendly. If we talk about Sharm el-Sheikh as a green city, this is a good value for the traveling to Egypt, because you are advertising now Sharm el-Sheikh, the city that accommodates the COP27 as a green city. So that's the first thing they will say in the news. It's not like you're bringing people to a city that is not aware of the eco-friendly tourism or the green tourism. So we are aware, and Egypt took lots of serious steps with the green hotels. We have more than, I mean, like 200 green hotels all over Egypt, and that's a big number, and that helps and does a good advertisement. You know what, travelers, when they come to Egypt and they see the sun all the time, and they say, do you use the sun power, the solar power in Egypt? And yes, we do. Yes, we do. You can see it in the streets. Now the electricity in the streets, lots of it is lit by solar powers. And all the infrastructure that's going is going to help with the eco-friendly tourism. So I think it's New Egypt, and we advertise Egypt now as New Egypt. Egypt is not the travelers' fathers or the travelers' parents or grandparents. This is New Egypt now. New sites has been opening, and you know what? The whole thing is going together in parallel roads. The new discoveries that happened, and I was honored to be with you in one of the programs, and we talked about the new discoveries.
Tutankhamun
yes, in the
secrets,
Tutankhamun anniversary,
Yeah.
and before that we had the Saqqara new discoveries, and although I mean, that was a big event. So all of this comes one after the other, and I think our country is blessed, and lots of people want to come, and Egypt has always been up there in the list of the tourist attraction countries.
It ought to be, after all,
It's I mean, and COP27 really helped, and people sometimes comment, and they say, does Egypt care about tourism? And sure, Egypt cares about tourism because it's #1 industry that we have here.
Sure.
And,
and we saw, I mean, during the COVID crisis, we saw how the government supported
absolutely,
the tourism industry, and the tourism sector, and we saw how the infrastructure continued to be built and continued to be developed, and we saw the inauguration and renovation of museums, and so I guess the government support for this vital industry is clear.
It is very clear, and we are opening museums day in and day out. I mean, the trend now, the new trend now, that we have museums in Egypt. I mean, we have the NEMC, the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, and we have, of course, the old Egyptian Museum, the Tahrir Egyptian Museum of Antiquities, which is considered to be also a landmark, and it's like a World Heritage Site, because it dates back to 1902.
And we will be inaugurating GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum,
of course,
which is being called the biggest cultural city in the world, not just a museum.
Absolutely, it will accommodate. It will be the largest museum worldwide that accommodates Egyptian artifacts, and the way they display things in this museum is amazing. It's like a kingship museum, and the background of the museum is glass. Every section will be for a king. I mean, musealization played a big role in this museum. And if you ask me about musealization, the mask of King Tutankhamun, the mask, the golden mask, that weighs 11 kilograms of solid gold, when it's in the tomb in the Valley of the Kings, when they discovered it in 1922, it was just a mask. It's gold and it's a mask. But when you take it out of the tomb and have it in display in the gem, and now in the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities, that's what we would call musealization. So putting it in a museum with a story, with the way you display it, that's what we would call musealization. And interestingly enough, that musealization does not only go for museums. Now, musealization is a science, is a discipline that is involved in different things. We talk about buildings, I mean a building, it's with musealization. We talk about a project, they do musealization in this project. It's how you display it and how you show it, and museums plays a big role in engaging the community of Egypt or anywhere. I mean, helping the local community, spreading culture,
and I like and linking them to their heritage. Yeah,
absolutely,
course, yeah.
And linking them to the heritage and keeping them bonded with their roots. So, as we say, we open our gates to all the countries from all over the world, and we are open to any culture. But we won't let this, you know, change our own culture, and because, as you know, that Egypt is a mix of different civilizations. We had the Greco-Romans coming here. We had the Pharaonic civilization, the Greco-Romans, and then the Byzantine, and then the Arabs coming here. I mean,
the Persians,
and the Coptics, and the Islamic, and the French, and the British. I mean, lots of civilizations, and all those civilizations melted in the Egyptian society, and got affected by the Egyptian society, but did not change it, which is very interesting. The British stayed here for 75 years, and we're still driving on the left side of the road. We didn't change the way we're driving so far, so that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Allow us, Dr. Atef, to go to Sharm el-Sheikh and see this interview conducted by our own Mona Musilhi with His Excellency, the Youth Minister, Youth and Sports Minister, Dr. Ashraf Subhi, and then come back and continue our discussion. And I'll be asking you, you know, since we're talking COP and we're talking climate change, about how best to preserve our monuments and our heritage against the threat of global warming and climate change. But let's first watch our dear colleague Mona Musilhi with Youth and Sports Minister Dr. Ashraf Subhi.
And we're still with our coverage to the COP27 here from Sharm el-Sheikh, and today the youth session of the COP27 took place in attendance from the Minister of Environment, Yasmin Fuad, His Excellency the Minister of Youth and Sports, Ashraf Subhi, and the UN High-Level Representative for Climate Change, Mahmoud Mohiddin. We have all the pleasure and the honor to have this interview with His Excellency the Minister of Youth and Sports, Ashraf Subhi, on this occasion. Thank you so much for joining us.
You are welcome. أهلا وسهلا.
This is a session that is dedicated for youth. Youth have been exerting lots of efforts in this conference. So, and you, as the Ministry of Youth and Sports, have been trying too much to indulge them into this important gathering.
Actually, I will tell the story from the beginning. We have the honor as a Ministry of Youth and Sports to host the first sessions and first conference. It's related to the environment. It's called the COI 17. COI 17, it's the conference for the environment for youth, coordinated with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well, the Environment Ministry of Environment, together with the Ministry of Youth and Sport, to have the responsibility for hosting the COI 17. Actually, with 145 countries participated as well, 1,500 youth. Together we have in 3 days from the 2nd of November till the 4th of November. It's the place with the youth and sports city in Sharm el-Sheikh. Actually, the whole youth, they have within the whole 3 days the sessions about the environment affected medications, adaptations, loss and damage, and the financial education's awareness. After the third day, they have the recommendations from the COI and they received to the COP executive and presidency for the COP27. During the COP27, we have at the 10th, which means today, the thematic days. Thematic day, they have many of the activities. One of the activities is the youth days. So today we are in the youth days. The youth days carry on for the recommendation that the youth and the YONGO. The YONGO is the United Nations for the youth for the environment. So they have responsibility for that day with the hosting country. So we start in the beginning with the first sessions, we opening the first sessions with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, myself, and the Ministry of the Environment with the Dr. Mahmoud Muhyiddin and the youth Yongo. We spoke about the everything about the rule and the relation with the youth and the environment. How could they see to the future and they prepare for the future because of the affections and effect of the environment in the whole world. We have some of the brainstorming and the wide thinking from the youth about the problem and the crisis, the whole world feeling about the environment. How could they think and prepare for it? Actually, we have the second sessions after that one. We have the Saving the Children and UNICEF with the project, one of the projects with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, that the caravan. Caravan is the environment bus go around with the UNICEF. We opened that one 3 months ago with the ambassador of the UNICEF, actor Ahmed Helmi, myself, and the rest of the UNICEF and United Nations agents. And they have the team that they go around back and forth the whole municipalities in Egypt, 27th of the municipality, to give the awareness and to speak with the youth about the COP27, COI17, and the general cultures and general informations about the youth and the environment. All of that, it was in certain sessions. The third one, it was the biggest negotiation sessions with a round table headed by the Yongo youth. They manage the sessions with the whole youth participate in the COP27 with participation of high level of Ministry of Youth and Sports in all over the world and ambassadors with the youth. Myself, Minister of Environment and Minister of Foreign Affairs were sitting and speak about the solutions and expectations of the future facing the environment change within the adaptation, loss and damage, with the mitigations and everything related to the COP27 and the environment exchanging.
I guess we are all hopeful of the outcome of this important conference taking place here on the land of peace.
Yes, I think so.
In Sharm el-Sheikh.
I think so.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for being with us.
You are very welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's all for our coverage. We'll be updating you at the upcoming hours with other interviews and other events. And until then, we'll see you.
Right, Nile TV's cameras there in Sharm el-Sheikh to update you minute by minute on what's happening at that great event, COP27 in the City of Peace. That was our own Mona Musarhi with His Excellency the Youth and Sports Minister, Dr. Ashraf Sobhi. Back here in the studio with Dr. Amr Atef, a travel expert and PhD in Heritage and Museum Studies, Faculty of Tourism and Hotel Management, Helwan University. Dr. Atef, the effect that climate change and global warming has on monuments, on the treasures, the artifacts, what danger is there, and how can we best preserve our monuments against that threat?
Well, that's very important, And that's one of the big roles of sustainability.
Yeah.
And sustainability in general is to keep and preserve the archaeological sites for the generations to come, and try to get the most benefit out of it economically, socio-economically, and environmentally. So if we talk about environmentally, we should try to take care of any litter, for instance. And we do raise awareness, we should raise awareness of the travelers who come here, and also of the local community, and of the Egyptians who go and travel in the sites by not touching the monuments, by not taking flash photography, by not abusing the sites, by regulating the number of the visitors inside the different sites. And the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities has been taking very good steps at that matter in the past. For instance, they would allow the guides to take the groups and talk in the Valley of the Kings, in the tombs in the Valley of the Kings, and inside the temples like the Temple of Abu Simbel, and inside the Valley of the Queens, and so on and so forth. Well, nowadays, this is not allowed. They stopped guiding inside the tombs. And why is that? Because when there are guided tours inside the tombs and inside the sites, the travelers would stay longer, and they breathe on the walls, increase the humidity, affects the colors, and increase the algae, and that would negatively affect the sites. So that's a very good step. COVID should be very inspiring for us. You know, people now wear masks, or have been wearing masks for a couple of years. It's a great idea. I think if we continue providing those masks in the archaeological sites, so when travelers go inside the tombs, we still can give them those masks, and when they put on the masks, that would decrease the humidity, because, you know, carbon monoxide and humidity of the travelers in and out, I mean, you're talking 30 days a month and 365 days a year. So this will be another good step to fight humidity and fight affecting the sites negatively. We should protect our heritage, and we are actually taking very good steps. And look at those new museums that have been opened. I mean, the old museum, of course, is a heritage building, and I'm talking about the Tahrir Museum.
Yeah.
Yet, those new museums is lots of pleasant. You go to the NEMC, the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, and the way things are displayed in the NEMC is amazing. I mean, it's like a semicircle. First of all, it's air-conditioned, and then it's a semicircle, and I mean, artifacts from the pre-dynastic, and then the old Middle and New Kingdom are there on display, and then Greco-Roman, and then the Coptic and the Islamic and the modern art. And you finish this tour, then you start going to visit the mummies. 22 mummies of pharaohs on display in the first floor of the NEMC in an amazing, I would say, parade, and the biggest collection of ancient Egyptian pharaonic mummies. And people go there, and you see how impressed they are looking at.
It's a very entertaining place.
It is.
It's also technologically advanced. There are other forms of amusement there.
Absolutely.
You know, food and
drinks
stuff,
and yeah. And also they do lots of events. I mean, day in and day out, they do events in the museum all the time, and cultural events, and archaeological events and lectures.
So if NEMC looks that way, I mean, how would GEM look like? I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the moment, I guess, the world is waiting for, isn't it?
The world is waiting for the GEM, and it will change the plan of tourism, maybe in this part of the world. Also, the government had this new airport, the Sphinx Airport, and the travelers will be able to fly in. You know, they're thinking of every minute detail. We used to lose the transit travelers. Now they fly in. If they have like 2 hours transit, they can go visit the museum, the GEM, and the pyramids, and then go back and fly.
And GEM itself will be overlooking the plateau,
the
right?
plateau of the Giza. They
plateau,
connect the whole thing together. So that will be quite a visit. And also, the government built this new road that connects Saqqara. Imagine the step pyramid of Saqqara to the Giza pyramids. So it will be in 20 minutes. You can go from Memphis, Saqqara, and the Giza pyramids. That's amazing. I mean, those roads, this network, or the road network is really impressive, and it connects really the country together. So those are lots of projects that reflected on tourism. Transportation is one of the main elements that, I mean, increase investment and also tourism.
And Egypt has spent a lot on transportation infrastructure
Recently, yep.
Recently, yes.
Yes, if we're talking about the transportation, well, I'm originally from the Delta, for instance, and we used to travel to the Delta. It would take us a couple of hours, or maybe 2 hours and a half. Now, we take this new road, the new ring road they built, and the highway, and it takes us only 45 minutes, door to door, to the Delta. So that's impressive.
Where in the Delta?
In the Menofia, in the Delta, which is like 70 kilometers, 54 kilometers from Cairo. So it takes us like 45 minutes in the Menofia province. And,
Wonderful.
And the amazing thing is the ring road even comes to our own village. I mean, so
you're lucky.
You're very lucky. I mean, not only our village, but in all the villages. So there is a branch of the ring road that drops you in different villages, which is really amazing.
Dr. Atef, speaking of the tourism terminology, I mean, we now hear about environment-friendly tourism, green tourism, rural tourism, social tourism, medical tourism. Talk to us about, you know, it seems that Egypt is making progress in each one of these sectors. Talk to us about conference tourism. Of course, that's aside from the cultural, of course, or religious, or, you know, ancient Egyptian civilization, or a traditional form of tourism that Egypt enjoys. So talk to us about the other forms of tourism, and we're having COP27, so the conference tourism. And I want to really know about the environment-friendly and green and other forms.
Egypt has been known for the cultural tourism for years and years and decades. And people would come here and go to Luxor and Aswan, which is great. I mean, they do the Nile cruise, and this is what we would call the bread and butter. I mean, in tourism, bread and butter means you do Cairo for a couple of days, and then you go on the cruise, and that's about it. But now, I think this COP27, the conference, the environmental conference, will open the gate for new kinds of tourism, which is the eco-friendly tourism. Because now the world, and especially the industrial cities, by the way, Africa did not do it. I mean, the African countries, I mean, did not affect really negatively the environment worldwide, because
they were the victim, actually.
They are the victims, actually, and most of the environment and the effect happened because of the industrial countries, and this what affected environment with all the factories and this and that. But so now the countries became aware that this should come to an end, because it cannot keep going this way with this pollution and diseases, and so it will open the gate. And I'm talking about this conference will open the gate to conference tourism. So this proves that Egypt is stable politically and security-wise, and it's safe, you know, safe to come and to travel. And,
Absolutely.
And then the people, you'll be amazed. We receive emails and phone calls from travelers who was with us on tours, and me and my colleagues and friends who were with us on tours like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We get emails day in and day out. We are coming to the Sharm el-Sheikh summit, not all, but we want to go see the pyramids. We want to go do the cruise. We want to go, so the extension will be very impressive and will encourage tourism. That, if we're talking about conference tourism, eco-friendly tourism, environmental tourism, this will all open the gates to new kinds of tourists that will come, and that will be a win-win relation between any accommodating site or any accommodating tourist attraction and the travelers who visit this place. Now, people are always aware, if they go somewhere, Egypt now is considered to be one of the countries that takes care of environment, because this project, I mean this conference actually attracted the eyes to Egypt, and as a country that cares about environment, and that will open the gate for different tourism. That comes parallel, if you would allow me.
Yes.
Egypt has been working on the project of the route of the Holy Family.
Yeah.
And it's the Holy Family coming to Egypt, and it's 25 stops. 25 stops. Mary, Jesus, and Joseph came from Israel, from Bethlehem, from Palestine, and came all the way, crossing, from Palestine, from Bethlehem, from the homeland, to Egypt. Egypt is the first country that Christ ate its food and drank its water after his homeland, Palestine. So imagine, it's the first escaping trip worldwide. So, and we got the blessings of the Vatican on this, and it will be booming. I would not call it like Christian tours or church groups, or I would call it spiritual tours.
Yeah.
Because so all those will come together and be parallel, and I think the coming seasons are very promising, and I think that inshallah, and Egypt will always be in the lead, as a traveler or tourist country.
The land of peace, for sure. And we are enjoying really hosting the world in the city of peace.
Absolutely.
In Sharm el-Sheikh, working for a cause and leading a cause. Egypt is leading the cause really for the sake of its continent and mankind. Dear viewers, unfortunately that's all the time we have here, but on behalf of you, we must thank very much our dear guests here in the studio, Dr. Amr Atef, the travel expert, and who has a PhD in Heritage and Museum Studies, and who teaches at the Faculty of Tourism and Hotel Management, Helwan University. Thank you very much. Always a great pleasure having you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And dear viewers, thank you for watching us, and please stay with Nile TV International. We'll update you minute by minute on the great COP27 event in the city of peace, Sharm el-Sheikh. Goodbye.